Just want to get my thoughts on the current movie trends that are happening. Or I'm a little worried where big name movie stars aren't really attractive anymore to get people into the box office. Quentin Tarantino kind of foresaw that. I think the last one that he kind of it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where you have big names Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in a long ass, close to 3 hour comedy drama about Hollywood. And there's Babylon, yet I have not seen the film. So I can't give my opinions about the film, which I would like to watch at some point soon. Maybe this weekend or maybe some point, because there's also The Whale that's playing around in my area. I can kind of hypothesize why this movie's not doing too well. One, it's technically dramas like this get released around the holidays for Oscar bait, but I don't know, maybe it's the current trends that people are spreading around online about Hollywood, woke Hollywood, or whatever about Hollywood, and people are seeing it and they're withdrawing from that. That's my take on it. Where they want to watch a movie promoting certain ideas about Hollywood. I don't know. I think that's kind of the idea I'm thinking of, because you have Avatar close to hitting, or actually he already hitting $1 billion, which I like to congratulate James Cameron for that. Well, I think we're caught in a dilemma here, where big names aren't attracting people to the theaters or properties anymore, unless you're really popular for a really interesting reason, like Dwayne Johnson or Henry Cavill, or I don't know, maybe a good fan base for some other reasons like Scarlett Johansson. You're not gonna gain any money for people to go watch the movies, which is actually kind of I'm a little split on that, because it does eliminate some favoritism, but favoritism is still a thing with Hollywood. I think it's just who has the bigger fan base, since that's what we're now aiming at. Social medias, YouTubers have bigger fan base than other celebrities in the film industry. Which I don't really care about that, really. My main concern is really certain films aren't attracting enough attention for people to go check out. That's my concern. And it could be premise. It could be a number of other things. But I think when it goes down to its core, its popularity. And I guess it is the trends of what's attracting people nowadays. Now, for one, I'm not really big on trends. So whatever film that, or an idea that kind of piques its interest, I'm kind of there. Something that does a little bit some unconventional. Like if you've seen the Twin Peaks return show that came out 5 years ago, I highly recommend that. Highly recommend that. But you have to kind of watch the first 2 seasons before watching that to kind of keep in the loop. Or you go on YouTube, some sort of content creators pretty much could sum up the download, what you're in, what you're not missing. But just remember, I need to check what my grades are from school. Certain superhero movies aren't doing too well. Are we in a fatigue of trends that, we're looking for something new again? Or is it going to be VR movies, fully fledged CGI films where they're bringing people back from the freaking dead to get people to go watch it? Or are we going to do anime adaptations right? What's next? I got Akira Kurosawa's film Dreams on. It's almost over. What's next? You know, the movie like The Whale, which is a pretty dark film. Darker films aren't going to get enough attraction to a lot of people. That's just reality. You have a film about three friends going to the Vietnam War and they come back traumatized and how to cope with it, which is a depressing story. Nobody ain't gonna want to try to watch that. It's a good movie. I don't think people don't want to go watch a film to remind them what the reality is or what reality is. They want some escapism, but if it's the right kind of escapism that really tells a very unique story, I think that's why Avatar is doing so well, even though it has some sort of hate. Everything's getting political now. I'm getting tired of it. To its core, it's a visual, stunning sci-fi fantasy. That's an easy way to get people to shut their brain off for 3 hours. Now, if you watch something, let's say The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is supposed to do the same thing, but then, you put a reminder of past wrongdoings on society, well, then you just, in a way, yeah, you kind of want to put that remembrance. You want to basically you want people to learn a lesson from what you're watching. But if it's like right on the nose, like watching a Spike Lee film, where people are trying to entertain themselves, and then you pull a rug right under their feet, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a true story. That's funny. I had the same reaction when I watched Black Klansman, but I already like Black Klansman, where they have realistic themes and tell an interesting story, which is based off a true story, but then they do that ending where at this rate, with the signs of movies coming, next year doesn't seem too very promising of movies that I'm looking forward to watching. I mean, really, I might see The Flash just because of the controversy surrounding it. But when they figure out whatever they're going to do with that movie and then leap into the new generation of DC movies, I got to be honest, I'm not too interested. I'm curious, but not too interested. And Dune Part 2, which I really like the first one. Other than that, every other film that's coming out next year, I just don't care for. Unless, let's see what's going to pop up Netflix or an HBO Max original. I'm curious about The Last of Us television show. I heard they're going to reboot Harry Potter. I am looking forward to checking out whatever I get the chance to watch The Mandalorian Season 3. I still need to catch up on the other not DC, the Star Wars shows, Andor. I think Visions Part 2 is coming out next year too, which next year is literally tomorrow. But in my own personal sense, I hope I do things a little bit differently, and I mean extremely differently, the last couple years, because boy, I've been doing things stuck in a routine that has been working. Uh, Getting to my age is showing. To be honest with you, I think with next year's slate of movies, the rise. I think there's going to be a rise of indie films at some point, and I also think um, I do hope there are other channels or other words of mouth that kind of help get more of these lesser known movies out there. I mean, there are big studio movies that get kind of passed on too. But I am kind of curious to see what's going to happen next year of movies and television. Because if films and theaters continue to diminish, I have a feeling they're going to cut costs on a lot, and I think we're heading close to the trends of certain genres that are soon going to disappear for a long while. Uh, they're starting to promote VR movies, the idea of virtual reality movies, and that scares me a little bit. They also have an idea of using AI somehow, which I'm not too, which I'm concerned with that. Also, there was a video that kind of trended a little bit online if you're in anime. I guess it was at Studio Ghibli or Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki. I think his staff was like, we have a computer that could hand draw our stuff for us, and Hayao Miyazaki looked at it. It's like we like this is going to be the end of mankind as we know it. And you can tell Hayao Miyazaki is a environmentalist. I could see him and Leonardo DiCaprio getting along very well, even with James Cameron. And I wouldn't necessarily say relate, but I do acknowledge the peaceful and love for nature. Um, but above all else, I do believe we are in a weird and maybe difficult transition into films coming out. I feel like this kind of went more into like a um, ideas of video. Um, I hope to see Babylon soon, The Whale, and a few other movies. Um, I hope there's certain films on Netflix that kind of get rise up a bit, shows. I'll continue to recommend movies that or shows that don't get talked about too much to kind of get people interested in some of these stuff. And maybe, you might be saying something to the studio saying, hey, we're interested in this, not that. I don't know. I don't know. Everyone has their own taste. It's a matter of opinion. But yeah, I think big name movie stars are done. I can see why Jim Carrey chose to retire. Because we don't appreciate the art of it. We appreciate the chaos of it more than it's like chaos is more interesting than art. I don't get it. You gotta appreciate the peaceful times, guys.